get back on their feet with a retail revitalization grant program. Companies can apply for grants to help pay for new business plans, inventory growth, marketing, or other business expenses. The money comes from a partnership with the Guilford Merchants Association and the Greensboro Virus Relief Fund. Businesses must be in the downtown Greensboro Business Investment District to get a grant, and you can donate to that program on GoFundMe.
Personal protective equipment was handed out today to long-term care facilities in Greensboro. The State Department of Emergency Management, Health and Human Services, and the National Guard handed out equipment to facilities at the Greensboro Coliseum. Facilities received a 2-week supply of the equipment based on the size of the facility. Equipment included masks, face shields, gloves, shoe coverings, and hand sanitizer.
All right, folks, some serious rain continues across parts of the Piedmont. It is cloudy, it is wet, and it is chilly. Temperature right now in Greensboro, just 52. We've been in the 40s for much of the day. Remarkable for May. I want you to look at the overall radar in the Carolinas right now. You'll see these swirling bands of rain. We had one this morning. We're starting to get another one now. This one heavier than before, and it's also in a different area, setting up farther to the west than what we saw this morning. Right now, it's not bad in Greensboro or in Asheboro, but you're right on the edge in Winston-Salem and in Lexington. Right now, the heaviest rain is in the foothills, and that could add up very quickly. We're looking at a quick 1 to 2 inches in that rain band, maybe some higher totals. And remember, this continues overnight and into tomorrow with different bands rotating in. It's also gusty. I've seen a couple of downed trees across parts of the Piedmont. That could continue as we have the ground getting a little bit wetter. A lot of times it's easier for trees to fall. Futurecast going into tonight, it's just the same. On again, off again rain bands here and there, heavier bursts that will continue. I think the worst of it for us will likely be tonight into tomorrow, mostly just because our ground is getting wetter. You know, at first we had pretty dry ground. That's starting to change, and so flooding is going to get to be more and more of an issue. I'd really recommend staying home tonight after darkness. Reason being, if there are any flooded out roadways in your communities, you just can't see it. So it's better to stay home and off those roadways if you can. If you got to go out, please be careful. We see this every time we have floods. People are driving through the floodwater, and that's the most dangerous thing that you can do. An additional 2 to 4 inches of rain are possible by tomorrow night, but after that, we do get a chance to catch our breath. We'll see some sun on Friday, still scattered showers for the afternoon, but the weekend itself, well, it looks like May. Low 80s with some sun for Saturday and Sunday.
Let's take a look at your 4 to 5 roundup this afternoon. About 4 million Americans should get their stimulus payments through a prepaid debit card soon. The Treasury Department says those cards will be mailed to people who didn't give banking information to the IRS. The economic impact payment cards can be used to make purchases or to get cash from an ATM. They can also be used to transfer funds to personal bank accounts. The cards will be accepted at stores where you can use a Visa card. Costco is easing restrictions on the number of people allowed inside the store per membership card. The chain will allow more than 2 customers per card again. That policy changed back on April 3rd. But some rules at Costco are still in place. They're still requiring customers to wear a face covering. That rule does not apply to kids younger than 2 or people with conditions that prevent them from wearing a mask. And the High Point Library plans to expand their hours for limited checkout services. So starting on Tuesday, the library's drive-through and telephone services will be offered Monday through Friday from 9 until 5:55 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. until 12:55 p.m. Now, to check things out, you have to place those items on hold using the library's online catalog system or by giving them a call. Due to the coronavirus, the library building and 2 satellite locations will remain closed to the public.
You know, as adults, we understand the importance of social distancing and making sacrifices during the pandemic, but that can be hard for kids. So a Greensboro family put their talents together and wrote a book. Take a look at Claire Lanier and her family.
Well, this is the first interview where I've had almost an entire family at one time. Claire, let's start with you. What was the inspiration for this book?
Well, obviously, as everyone knows, it's unprecedented times. We're in this quarantine pandemic, and to be safe, we separated ourselves even from our family. And I have a 6-month-old, and so it was particularly hard for my mom and my son's other grandparents not to get to see my son. And it just seemed like a really fun, kind of meaningful thing to do, to write this story that people could relate to, that was both timely and timeless.
So, Mom, that makes sense to me, though. When you can't see your grandchild, that makes it pretty tough. So talk about your part in inspiring this book.
The girls were quarantining separately, and they were doing arts and crafts, and they were writing a book because it took the form of a duck and everything, and a family. And I said, oh my gosh, you got to have a grandmother in there who can't wait to hug her baby. And then all of a sudden it sort of took that kind of arc.
Caroline, I want to talk to you about doing the artwork for this. If you're an artist and you've done other things, it's different than working for your sister, isn't it?
I mean, she was really the driving force, sort of, when are you going to start painting? And it was a nice creative outlet to work on this project. I mean, I was trying to think of ways, how do I paint a duck that's sneezing? So my mom would Google image search, and so it really was a group effort.
Absolutely. All of us can understand that. I want to thank you guys for taking time today. This is great. I hope it goes crazy. And congratulations to the whole family. Nice job.
So if you want a copy of the book, you can sign up for a pre-order even before the book hits the stores. I've linked you to that pre-order website. Just look for this story on WFNYnews2.com. By the way, Maddie, she is also literally just graduated as a doctor from Wake Forest on Monday. And then she's releasing this children's book. So she has a couple of pots on the stove.
She's not busy at all. She doesn't have anything to do. So Eric, the entire family is part of this, which is my favorite part. One person wrote it, one person did the illustrations. How did that work?
Yep, and she has a 6-month-old at home. She's very busy, but this book is really cool. The illustrations, done by her sister. It's all in the family.
I love that. And it's going to be released soon, I hope.
Yes, very soon. She didn't give us a release date, but those pre-orders are available now.
Perfect. All right, well, we are still chatting with you on the live stream right now, WFNY News 2's Facebook page or our YouTube channel. Join the conversation. Use our hashtag 4to5. Yeah, does it sound low still? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Mic chat sounds better in my IFB. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can count to 12, everybody. 13, what? 14, 15, 16. Mic check, mic check. I need a catchy jingle like Tanya. Welcome back to your 4 to 5. From the start, health officials have encouraged at-risk populations to take extra precautions during the coronavirus pandemic. Well, cancer patients are among those at risk with compromised immune systems that make them more susceptible to getting the virus. That's why one nurse in Winston-Salem is helping them get the care they need without them ever having to leave home.
We're on the phones all day, every day.
Healthcare during a pandemic looks different, and that's especially true for Phil Ellison's patients.
Many of our patients who were on IV treatments are being transferred or transitioned, I should say, to oral chemotherapy agents if possible.
Ellison is a nurse and oncology case manager who helps cancer patients navigate at-home treatment over the phone, something that's needed now more than ever.
Our cancer population is highly susceptible to catching infections because of their compromised immune systems from their treatment. So keeping them at home is all the more important if it's possible to limit their exposure to the virus.
From his home in Winston-Salem, Ellison helps people across the nation. He's licensed in 49 different states to help people with their medicine and side effects. But during COVID-19, he's also been called on to educate people who wouldn't have known about the virus otherwise.
I did have a patient that I reached out to had heard about a new virus, but had no clue to the scale at which it was at. And hadn't heard about quarantining or anything. So being able to provide that patient the education that they needed to keep themselves safe while they're still very vulnerable to catching this infection, even in a rural area, was extremely important. And I'm happy to say that they're doing well right now.
Even though Ellison plays an important role in helping people navigate all that a cancer diagnosis brings, he humbly says his job pales in comparison to what his patients are juggling every day during COVID-19.
Working from home, taking care of their kids, doing homeschooling, on top of trying to learn everything they can about COVID-19 and the CDC guidelines that they need to keep themselves safe. It certainly is a monumental task on top of what they normally already have to deal with.
Now, Ellison says one of the biggest challenges of the pandemic and being a nurse who helps people across the nation is keeping track of all of the different restrictions in all of the different states. Now, Tahisha, he says he helps keep all of the patients up to date on what's allowed in their area as far as going out, making sure that their cancer treatment is on track. And then, of course, he's helping them with the side effects of that medication as well.
Yeah, that's a lot of extra work that you really don't think about that a healthcare provider would need to know. But I guess when you are working at that level and you have patients in all of these states, that's kind of an added burden for him. But we are appreciative of the work that he's doing, especially warning some people who may not have heard about the restrictions otherwise, Maddie.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you think about it, they're definitely at risk because of their compromised immune systems and that medication. So they need to know what's going on. Tahisha, at the end of every interview, I always ask, you know your story better than I do. So what am I missing? What do you want to add? And he took that extra time at the end of our interview to thank other healthcare workers. So that just goes to show you, a great character there.
And of course, we want to give the thanks to him for taking the time to share that story with us and what he does for others to keep them safe.
Absolutely. All right, we are heading to break, but don't forget the show never stops. We are live on Facebook and on Twitter and on YouTube. Wherever you want to find us, just use our hashtag 4 to 5.
Businesses and restaurants are preparing to open their dining rooms and other services to customers. Now, as businesses navigate how to protect public health and operate at the same time, one business is looking at hiring a brand new position to do just that. Let's connect the dots.
As more and more states open up and businesses do the same, there's one stumbling block being reported: public restrooms. Let's connect the dots. As the public gets out and about more, it's just a fact of life that people need to use restrooms. But most people report not feeling comfortable using them yet. And this means businesses are having to adjust, not just the fixtures in their bathrooms, but also the employees they hire. According to the Washington Post, restaurants are now looking for more than just chefs and waiters, also bathroom monitors. The job involves not just keeping the space clean, but also ensuring customers wait their turn at a safe distance. McDonald's is now requiring franchisees to clean their bathrooms every 30 minutes, and that appears to be a common trend in the restaurant business these days. The people who make bathroom fixtures have seen a surge of requests not just from restaurants, but other businesses as well. There's a huge demand for touchless features in copper, which has antimicrobial properties. Those high-powered hand dryers are falling out of favor, though, thanks to concerns about blowing germs around. And experts say these changes are probably not temporary, as concerns over cleanliness in public restrooms was a thing even before the pandemic.
I mean, I got to be honest, I'm all for keeping restrooms as clean as possible. So if that requires a person being there, I mean, I think it's kind of a win-win, you know, keeping people safe, but at the same time, providing a source of income for someone. So I'm curious to see how this all shapes up, and I know we'll be figuring it all out together as we enter phase 2 here very shortly.
Yeah, this is certainly not a new thing, right? I mean, some places still have bathroom attendants. This used to be very much the thing, widespread, popular. Every business had them. So it's interesting that it's making a comeback now, but I always enjoy seeing someone in there just telling people, you know, this stall is open. It happens a lot in airports from my experience, Eric.
Yes, absolutely. And I like that too. I'm with both of you. This is a double thumbs up for me, not only just to make sure that things are happening the way they should and everything's clean, but also just for safety purposes. I like this all the way around.
Yeah, my only question is, do we have to tip, right? Because I always make it a point to tip the bathroom attendants when I see them.
That's a good point. I don't know about that. We'd have to wait and see how it goes, right?
All right, well, we are streaming, as we always say, live on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitter. Join our conversation. Do you like this idea? What do you think about it? Use our hashtag 4 to 5. 10,000 people were evacuated in Michigan after major flooding there. The governor declared a state of emergency after 2 dams failed. Officials warned the town of Midland could be under 9 feet of water by this evening. And the National Weather Service issued emergency flash flood warnings for surrounding areas.
A deadly cyclone hit the India coastline today. Officials in Bangladesh say a volunteer died after the boat that they were on flipped during evacuations. Now, Cyclone Amphan was a Category 3 hurricane when it hit land this morning. Millions evacuated in India and Bangladesh. Officials say social distancing guidelines are being practiced in cyclone shelters.
All right, showers, of course, we've been talking about this. Multiple inches of rain falling across the triad. That'll be the case heading into the night tonight. Again, possible flooding. That'll be tonight through tomorrow. Really, we have to get through the work week before we get some break in the action. That'll be heading into Saturday and Sunday, so that's good. Our holiday weekend looking pretty good. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Tonight, low 52. Tomorrow's high 65. We could see storms embedded in this tomorrow as we warm up a little bit. You can see that heavier rain across the area, not going anywhere anytime soon. When we look at the big picture here, that low pressure continues to spin around out there. And you look at the futurecast clouds and radar combination, yeah, we get a couple of breaks there Friday during the day, but then Friday evening, that last little line moves through. We'll show you the 7-day forecast with a much better weekend outlook in just a few minutes.
Hello, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie. If they try to tell you the facility.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner, joined by Eric Chilton and Tahisha Moise. Both of them are working from home this afternoon. I, of course, am in studio. We are continuing to practice our social distance and stay at home when we can. But, of course, we are still connected with you on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. Use our hashtag 4 to 5 to join our conversation.
Governor Roy Cooper is expected to make an announcement at 5 o'clock today. Now, the governor's office hasn't said what that announcement will be, but earlier this week, Governor Cooper said that we would hear about moving into phase 2 by the middle of the week. So we want to hear from you. Where do you plan to visit when phase 2 of reopening happens? Your choices are there at the bottom of your screen. Restaurants, bars, hair salons, nail salons, or I won't be going out. Now, to cast your vote, you can head over to WFMY.com/vote now or use our free News 2 app. So here is a look at what changes as we move into phase 2 when that happens. The stay-at-home order is lifted statewide, but high-risk groups are encouraged to stay home. Restaurants, gyms, salons, and other businesses can reopen under certain limitations, like letting fewer numbers of customers inside than usual. Churches can hold indoor services, more people can gather in groups, public playgrounds reopen, and long-term care facilities like nursing homes remain under restriction.
And let's take a look at how you're voting right now. The majority of you, 59%, say you will not go out, but 26% of you say you'll head to the salon. And Eric Chilton, that is no surprise. Almost every comment we get on social media is people asking when the salons are going to be open again, desperate for a haircut.
A study done in Europe suggests a new way we can combat the coronavirus pandemic. So this study looks at a nation cycling through a lockdown. So you would have 50 days in a lockdown and then 30 days out of lockdown. Researchers suggest that it would help limit the spread of the virus, but keep economies going at the same time. Now, those stay-at-home orders are designed to slow the spread of the virus, but of course, it's costing many people their jobs. So researchers looked at 3 scenarios. The first had no lockdown measures and resulted in more serious cases of the virus. The second looked at 50 days of partial lockdowns, so some tighter restrictions, but not a full lockdown, and 30 days without those restrictions. Now, that reduced the number of coronavirus cases, but did not reduce the number of severe cases. So the last scenario was 50 days on a lockdown, 30 days without it, and repeat and repeat and repeat. Now, this reduced the number of cases and leveled the number of severe cases. Researchers say that those countries would have to choose a scenario they can handle based on resources, but there's no right answer. They say intermittent lockdown could help prevent a second wave and get people back on their feet. So my question would be, how would you feel going back to harsh restrictions? That's what I asked you all on my Facebook page today. So let's see what some of you all had to say. Jacob writes, we best not go back. We can't afford to open the state, then reclose it later down the road. Phyllis Barnum writes, if it happens, then we got to do what we got to do. Our lives matter. And lastly, Jimmy writes, people didn't stay home the first time and they won't stay home this time. Yeah, I understand going into lockdown and then coming out of it. You know, I know that's really tough on the economies. Now, this study says that it's a viable option. I'm not sure, but I know that as we potentially enter phase 2, a lot of people excited about that. It would kind of be hard to go back to where we were, you know, in the middle of March.
And Taisha, from the jump, the governor and state health officials, they've been saying they're monitoring all of the data that they're looking at, all of the different numbers. And if they start to see them going in a trend that looks dangerous, we could go back a step or we could impose more restrictions. So it isn't out of the question, but right now it looks like we'll be heading into phase 2 later this week.
Oh, the chill, the rain, the clouds, all of that so far has been with us really since Monday. If you remember, this whole week has been like this, and it's only Wednesday. We have today and tomorrow still to get through before things start to improve. Right now, it's incredibly cold. For May, it's 52 degrees outrageously chilly for this time of year, and there are still rain bands rotating in. It might be pouring at your house, or it might be a little bit lighter. Right now, the heavier band in the Piedmont is really off the western Piedmont, from Davidson County to Forsyth to Davie County, Yadkin, Surrey, and over into the foothill communities. Zoom in a little bit closer, it's not quite as heavy currently in Guilford. That's good news. We had a lot of rain earlier today. Randolph County getting a bit of a break currently, but this band that we see in the west, this could still rotate in to the rest of the triad as well. We're just going to have to be on guard throughout tonight, throughout tomorrow. On again, off again rain bands, localized, but they will be heavy moving through. So it doesn't really change until we can get this weather system to move, and that really starts to happen tomorrow afternoon. So I expect once we get to tomorrow night, and especially into Friday, that's when things really start to improve. But until then, I want you to be careful. There is a significant risk of flooding, much higher than we usually see with just a regular rain event. This one is so slow moving that it really does add up day after day. So 2 inches yesterday, maybe not a big deal. 2 inches today, a little concerning. If we get 2 inches again tomorrow, well, that could really just put us over the top. And that's when we start to see roads covered in water, or even roads that could be washed away. That would be one of my main concerns. So if you can, especially when it's dark outside, stay home, stay off the roadways. But if you do have to go out, be extra careful. You never know how deep that water is going to be. May will return in time. We're up to 78 on Friday, low 80s for the weekend, and good amounts of sunshine. So hang tight, everybody. It's not fun for now, but it will get better going into that weekend. And in fact, next week is really looking quite nice.
All right, I'm getting on my soapbox because this makes me really mad. I just talked to the North Carolina Attorney General, Josh Stein, and he told me that some nursing home facilities are telling their patients they have to sign over their stimulus checks.
The key is that money belongs to you. It was meant for you. It's a tax credit. It's not some kind of resource under the Medicaid program that your healthcare facility has any claim to. And if they are trying to convince you to sign that check over, they're wrong, and let my office know.
All right, you see the U on this stimulus check? This means that it is yours.
Yeah, it's long been said this stimulus payment, it's not a tax, it is a tax credit. It is not part of your income.
Right, and that holds true even if you're getting Medicaid and you're in a facility. So if your loved one has signed over your check, you need to contact the North Carolina Attorney General's office. And so right now, what I'm trying to do is put together a web article so that you can click in one place and you can then report it. That just makes me mad. Doesn't it make you mad?
Yeah, that's really frustrating. I like your soapbox, by the way.
Makes me mad. Yeah, okay, so we're talking about all things stimulus today. Today from 5:30 until 6, we have 2 experts for you to answer your stimulus check questions, from taxes to where is the payment and are you eligible. And what you need to do is text the question 336-379-5775.
I'm Stacey Spivey, and here's a look at what's trending online in your social snapshot. Families separated by the coronavirus are finally getting to hug their loved ones. A nursing home in Virginia came up with the idea of using sterilized suits to allow family members to hug each other and at the same time avoid coronavirus spreading. You can see this woman put on a hippo costume to safely hug her mom, and they're also wearing gloves and masks underneath to stay extra safe. And in Arkansas, a teen is also bringing a lot of joy to seniors at assisted living homes. 16-year-old Gregory Allen has been volunteering at retirement homes for about a year now, but since he can't go inside to visit these days, he's just been entertaining his friends by playing his violin outside for them to hear. He says he knows how hard it is for seniors during this isolation, so he wanted to help lift their spirits. And that's a look at your social snapshot.
Governor Roy Cooper and Dr. Mandy Cohen spent some time answering questions today, but they weren't from members of the media like we usually hear. These questions came from kids. Of course, the pandemic gets a confusing time for all of us, so the two tried to help answer questions to give parents a hand. One question came from an 18-year-old. Her name was Venus, who wanted to know how North Carolina is prepared for a possible second wave of coronavirus.
first, we wanted to make sure as we ease restrictions, we do it slowly. We want you to wear a face covering. We want you to wash your hands. We want you to wait 6 feet apart. But then we also want to make sure that if you have the symptoms of COVID-19, a cough or a fever, that you can get a test. And importantly, we want to make sure that the doctors and hospitals are there if you need them.
Other questions from kids included how school will look for students in the fall, why we should wear masks, and why adults get the virus more often. Also, how should students remote learn with little access to the internet? Some really good questions. You can see that full Q&A on our website. All right, Eric, you know kids, they don't hold back. They ask the tough ones.
That's right. They're honest about it. You know, my teens are the ones that are really asking questions now because they miss their friends, they miss hanging out, and now that they've kind of started to relax things a little bit, hanging out in groups of 10, social distance outside, that's like venting the teapot for these guys, just to let them have just a little bit of social interaction. I think that's very important, and it doesn't surprise me that kids were asking most of the questions.
You know, they're not the only kids who are asking questions today. Your daughter, Drew, joined our morning editorial meeting where we make decisions about what we're covering for the day, and she had a really good question.
She was listening to everything, and then she goes, Dad, can we just ask, are you sick of the coronavirus, or are you okay with things the way they are now? I said, I think we've answered that a few times, sweetie, but duly noted. I'll pass it on.
I loved it. I would like to know if the governor and Dr. Cohen are sick of the coronavirus.
Are they sick of it?
I mean, we're all feeling it, right? Drew Chilton.
We'll never get that honest answer from the officials.
We'll see. Maybe if Drew asks, she's so cute, how can they not answer that question? All right, we'll be right back with more of the 4 to 5.
Hi there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You know, running a small business successfully can be difficult, but one Greensboro woman has this down, even during a pandemic. I asked Noni Penland about her decades-old successful framing shop and why it's still successful even in a pandemic.
Well, I'm glad that you joined us today, Noni and Diane from Pendleton Frame Shop. And, you guys have been around a couple of years. Talk about longevity and why you think that is, Noni.
Well, we have been here for 24 years at this location, and I've been a framer in Greensboro for 40 years. We closed on the 27th of March, mandated by the North Carolina government. And we are just now beginning to tentatively open our doors again on a part-time basis. We're hopeful, Eric. We're hopeful that our business will return.
Diane, talk a little bit about working at one place for 22 years. I mean, basically, you've grown up with the business with Noni and the role that the support team plays to make a business successful.
Well, we make a really good team. I'm an artist. Got into framing because of my art and love framing as an art because that is what it is. We sell frames that are handmade, hand carved, hand leafed. They are a piece of art and then they're put on a piece of art. So it's really a wonderful experience.
I'll bet that when you look at a painting, you're looking at the frame more than you are the painting when you go out in public.
I used to be. Now I really love the art so much. I love the art. So framing it is just a natural extension of it.
Well, thank you guys so much for stopping in today. We appreciate it. Best of luck. You're going to do great. I'm sure we need you for 24 more years.
You really need to check it out because their personalities, I got to be honest with you, that's probably 80% of their business success because they're so welcoming and loving and it is art. Their framing is an art, which I didn't think of until they said that to me. If you want to visit the frame shop, they're on 712 West Market Street, right in downtown across from Greensboro College rather. And I've also linked you to her website from this story on WFNYnews2.com. Check that out. I asked you on Facebook, what is your favorite long-standing institution in your hometown? And boy, did you speak out. A lot of folks excited about this. Janet Duggan said Midway Variety Store in Burlington. She said old time service and selection, still family owned and run. And she said, thanks, Mike and Doyle. Cindy Martin says Greensboro Whataburger on Church Street. I have eaten there myself. Jim Allred says the Archdale Soda Shop in Archdale. In 1973, he said hot dogs were $1 a dozen. They might have gone up a little bit since then, though, Jim. And Sandy Shepard Thomas says Zach's Hot Dogs in Burlington. I have been there firsthand several times. They have been open for decades. That is definitely one to check out. So, Maddie, I would say of those that we mentioned, now I said Snappy Lunch because I'm a Mount Airy guy like you are, but I would say you got to check out Zach's Hot Dogs in Burlington. That's incredible.
Okay, so Eric, I confessed on your Facebook page.
Yes.
Today, and fortunately no one's come at me guns a-blazing yet. I born and raised in Mount Airy, grew up right there, never lived anywhere else, right, except when I went to college and now in Greensboro. I've never eaten at Snappy Lunch.
We got to fix that. Oh, listen, I can hear the crew upset with you.
Julie Luck is over here like throwing
That's
paper
Julie?
at
Oh.
me.
I agree.
I know all about
I
it.
agree.
Listen,
All right, you're going to get that.
As soon as all this craziness is over, it's top of my list. I don't know. I mean, it just wasn't a thing that we did when we were growing up.
I'm going with you, okay?
But I've heard great things. There's always a line.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. I can't say enough about it. It's
all right. Don't
not
revoke.
healthy, not meant to be.
I don't care.
It's meant to be good.
Don't revoke
Okay.
my Mayberry card. I still want to
will
be a
not do that.
member.
Let's take a look at our forecast quickly. Maddie, I don't know. She might get some mail on this one. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's look at the satellite and radar combination, folks. And a lot of the rain coming in from the southwest, and it's just kind of hanging around. And when you look at this and you say, why is this happening? Look at where you see that circulation, that counterclockwise low. That low is hanging out in eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, and it's just slow going. It's just going to dump rain on us. Now we start our clock and go through Thursday and heading into Friday. And you see there's still one more little disturbance that'll move by on Friday. So we still keep a 60% chance of rain in there. The biggest problem with this is going to be the fact that we add several inches of rain to what we've already seen, which is several inches of rain, maybe even 2 to 3 more. So we will definitely see flooding as a result of all of this. Your long range forecast basically showing those temperatures. We will gradually see the rain taper off. The weekend looks good, low 80s we think, and thank goodness we get a break in the rain for the weekend. We'll still see some sunshine.
Coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5, Governor Roy Cooper is just minutes away from holding a press conference. He's expected to announce whether the state will enter phase 2 of the reopening plan on Friday afternoon. We will bring it to you live right here on WFMY News 2. Plus, how restaurant owners are preparing for the green light to allow customers to dine in, but others say they will stick with takeout only for the time being. That's coming up at 5.
We want to honor our seniors this year since their graduations, of course, have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So that's why we do what we call our senior shout outs. We take some time out of the day to celebrate some of our seniors graduating. So let's take a look at some of the ones that we are celebrating today. Amisha Cleveland is graduating from the middle college at GTCC Greensboro. Get this, she's already earned 57 college credits. In the fall, she'll head to Fayetteville State University to pursue a degree in social work and criminal justice. Her parents say they are so proud of her success thus far and can't wait to witness future accomplishments. Taylor Robertson is a senior at Rockingham County High School. She is an AP student and plays varsity tennis and soccer there. She'll be attending UNC Chapel Hill to study exercise science. And lastly, Erica Edwards is a senior at Ragsdale High School. She has played varsity softball all 4 years. Erica was named to 3-time All-State, All-District, All-Area, and All-Conference teams. So she's pretty good, right? She'll attend Greensboro College in the fall to continue her softball career and pursue a degree in criminal justice. Now, if you want to share your senior shout-outs with us, all you have to do is find the submission form on our website. You can submit a photo of your senior. We're asking that you don't send professional photos. Be sure to include their name and their school and also a personal message with their shout out. More of the 4 to 5 when we come back, and Maddie's, or I should say, Eric Chilton's 2 cents.